Okay, so what is a parallel evidence? Wafi says is the extrinsic evidence. Okay, correct. Apa itu? Okay, parallel evidence is what? Dayang no Sakina ada? Dayang?
Yes, sir.
What is a parallel evidence? Your understanding?
And in my
Yes, Dayang?
hello.
Yes. Yes, Dayang? Putus-putus. Dayang, okay. Oh, Dayang. Putus-putus Dayang. Eliana ada? Eliana Fatin?
Yes, sir.
What is parallel?
Parallel evidence adalah prohibit destroying evidence.
Yes. What is parallel evidence?
Parallel evidence adalah kaedah untuk prohibit destroying evidence.
Okay, dah. Okay.
Terdengar?
Husna, where are you? Husna Azman?
Yes, sir, ada.
What is parallel evidence to your understanding?
In my understanding in parallel evidence is parallel evidence is an oral and extrinsic evidence that is prohibited from be taken into documentary evidence.
Okay. Amirul ada? Amiruddin. Muhammad Amiruddin?
Ada, sir, ada.
Parallel evidence is what? According to your understanding? Pemahaman anda?
Parallel evidence ni ialah prinsipal
Okay.
yang prohibit oral evidence ataupun extrinsic evidence
Okay.
yang kontradik kepada dokumen.
Okay. Correct. Very clear, Amir. Thanks. Alia ada? Alia binti Abdul Jalil? What is parallel evidence?
Yes, apa je?
What is parallel evidence?
Evidence.
Yes, Alia, parallel evidence what?
Parallel evidence is rules that prohibit outside evidence.
Okay.
The real content of the document.
Outside evidence. Okay, correct. Thank you, Amir. Thank you, Alia. Imran ada? Muhammad Imran? Imran Hussein?
Ada.
What is parallel evidence?
Parallel evidence is something that is not written in the contract.
Okay, something which is not written in the contract itself. Correct, Imran. Very clear voice. Luqman ada?
Ada, sir.
Luqman, parallel evidence is what?
Parallel evidence ni adalah satu prinsipal untuk menjaga keaslian, kesucian dokumen yang bertulis.
Keaslian, kesucian. Okay, dan kehormatan dokumen bertulis. Okay. Very detail. Thank you, Luqman. Detail. Nasuha ada?
Ada, sir.
Parallel evidence tu apa?
Parallel evidence ni dia rule untuk prevent any parties of the contract to adduce an oral evidence which will contradict to the written agreement.
Detail. Okay, that's good. Thank you, Naswa. Very clear voice. Nazira ada? Nazira? Apa itu parallel evidence, Nazira?
Parallel evidence is a prohibitive rule.
Okay.
It's the outside rule that is contrary to the black and white contract.
Okay. Nuri ada? Nuri Sufia?
Saya.
Parallel evidence itu apa?
Parallel evidence tu extrinsic evidence in the form of verbal
Okay.
That is not included in the written agreement.
Okay, correct Nuri. Very clear voice. Okay. Nora Nina ada? Nora Nina?
Ada sir.
Parallel evidence tu apa?
Parallel evidence tu something yang outside the agreement between both parties.
Okay, outside the agreement. Correct, correct. Nur Adibah ada? Adibah Husin? Nur Adibah? Ada Adibah? Nur Adibah ada? Nur Adibah? Mana tak clear? Nur Adibah.
Hello.
Hello, yes Nur Adibah. Parallel evidence atau apa?
Dengar ke sir?
Dengar, very clear.
Okay. Parallel evidence tu is a prohibitive rule
Okay.
to protect the contract itself.
Okay, correct. Thank you Adibah. Very clear voice.
Okay.
Nur Alia ada? Alia ada? Alia Farisha?
Ada sir, ada.
Very clear voice. Okay, parallel evidence what?
Parallel evidence dia adalah rules yang prevent introduction of evidence by both party yang boleh modify the original contract.
Correct, correct. Okay, thank you Alia. Very clear voice.
Alright.
Okay. Atika ada? Nur Atika? Atika. Atika ada?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Atika.
Yeah.
Parallel evidence apa? Very clear voice. Okay.
Parallel evidence is something that outside the four walls of contract.
Okay.
Mainly it's verbal.
Okay, very good Atika. Very clear voice. Okay. Najwa ada? Nur Najwa Akilah? Najwa.
Ada sir.
What is parallel evidence?
It's kind of outside evidence.
Okay.
Kind of verbal statement or term which is not included in the written document itself.
Okay, correct. Okay, thank you Najwa. Very clear voice.
Okay.
Okay. Nora Zira binti Hasnan? Nora Zira ada?
Ada sir.
Okay. Slow suara. Okay. Parallel evidence what?
Parallel evidence is a rule
Okay.
that prohibits oral or verbal agreement
Okay.
when there is already written agreement or document which the parties involved already agreed to it.
Okay. So suddenly the voice becomes sharp. Okay. Okay, very clear. Okay. Thank you Nora Zira. Siti Aisyah ada? Siti Aisyah binti Zulkifli?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Parallel evidence what?
Parallel evidence is a prohibitive rule that which avoid using outside evidence to challenge the evidence.
Okay, thank you. Very clear, Noisha. Your voice also clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Siti Mariam ada? Siti Mariam? Mariam binti Anwar? Siti Mariam ada? Siti Mariam? Siti Mariam? Mariam ada? Mariam tak ada? Tak bergerak. Siti Mariam? 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 Okay. Syauqi ada Syauqi? Syauqi?
Yes, doktor.
Yes, how are you Syauqi? Sihat?
Alhamdulillah sihat doktor. Dah makan doktor?
Belum lagi. Lepas habis tutorial. Nak beli rojak jap.
Cafe.
How's the weather Sabah? Okay.
Alhamdulillah panas.
Panas ya? KL mendung Syauqi. KL mendung.
Tukar.
Very cloudy KL. So Syauqi, what is parallel evidence?
Parallel evidence, it refers to irrelevant or unrelated evidence or extrinsic relating to oral agreement, written agreement that is not included in the relevant written document.
Okay, very good. Very good Syauqi. Okay, clear voice also from Sabah. Boleh dengar?
Thank you.
Walaupun Sabah tapi boleh dengar juga.
That's pokok.
Okay. Umi Umairah?
Yes, sir.
Yes. What is parallel evidence, Umi?
From what I understand,
Okay.
parallel evidence is an extrinsic evidence be made orally outside of
Okay.
the real agreement or contract.
Okay, very good, Umairah. Okay, very clear voice also. Umi Alia ada? Umi Alia? Umi? Umi Alia ada? Tak ada?
Sir.
Yes, parallel evidence is what?
Parallel evidence is what I understand.
Okay.
Parallel evidence is a contract that cannot put into writing.
Okay, contract and operator. Okay, correct. Very clear voice, Umi.
Okay.
Okay. Wan Nazrin ada? Wan Nazrin Shaza? Wan Nazrin Shaza ada? Tekan yang unmute aja dekat dia punya desktop. Okay. Wan Nazrin ada? Okay. Wan Suhaili ada? Suhaili?
Ada sir, ada.
How are you? Sihat?
Alhamdulillah, sihat sir.
Nilai ke?
Dekat nilai lagi.
Macam mana cuaca di sana?
Mendung.
Sama lah KL. Mendung juga. Aduh, hai. Yes, Suhaili, what is parallel evidence?
Parallel evidence is an extrinsic evidence and it is not a written evidence.
Okay.
And it is also a rule, prohibitive or preventive rule against that protect to contradict the agreement.
Okay, correct. Very clear voice also, Suhaili. Thank you, Okay lah, what all of you said is correct lah. So I call the name one by one, okay, to see that whether you are actually here or not, okay. So I examine the concept of parallel evidence rule and explain how the rule can be evaded lah. Evaded means how we can, is the exception, okay. Itu dia. Okay, so parallel evidence rule is what lah? So majority said correct thing lah, okay. Itu dia. Illustrate your answer with reference to provision of evidence X and decide. So parallel evidence means, what is parallel evidence? The question I asked is what is parallel evidence? I didn't ask what is parallel evidence rule. Don't get confused, okay? So parallel evidence means extrinsic evidence, okay? Extrinsic is what? EX, bukan intrinsic. Extrinsic. EX. TRINSIC. Extrinsic. Okay? Outside. Inside, intrinsic. IN. Okay? Outside what? Outside the perimeter of the contract. Okay, itu dia. That's a parallel. Then if the question asks what a parallel evidence rule means, it's a prohibitive rule. You are prohibited from corrupting, okay, the contract lah, okay, okay. Itulah dia. So why we have this rule in the first place is to protect the integrity of the contract, okay. As Lokman said, untuk menjaga kesucian, kehormatan, okay, kontrak itu. Betul kan Lokman? Okay, itu dia. Itulah dia, untuk menjaga integrity of the contract. So why we need to protect the integrity of the contract is to avoid people take the contract lightly lah. Okay, and to force people to follow what have been written in the contract. Okay, so this rule, okay, said that if there's any conflict, future conflict whatsoever, priority you should refer to the black and white contract. You cannot refer something which is beyond the contract. Okay, you must refer black and white. So documents, oral evidence, in this particular case, document is the best evidence. Okay, that's how you relate also this concept, parallel evidence rule and the best evidence rule. Okay, best evidence rule means the best evidence you bring what have been written black and white. It should be given top priority. And as I said, whenever there's a general principle, of course we have exception. Okay, I already give you this one, the chart, this one, this, what call it? Okay, chart. Okay, so there are two kinds of exception, statutory exception and non-statutory exception. Okay, so statutory exception kita dah refer section 92 and non-statutory exception decided court cases. Okay, so you must explain about what is the parallel evidence rule, okay, and you must support with cases lah. And the leading case will be Datuk, case apa? Tanjung Motor, Alan McKnight. There are so many cases you can refer. You are explaining about this parallel evidence rule concept. And not to forget about the section 91 until 99 of the Evidence Acts, okay, which embodied the idea of a parallel evidence rule, and you read together with section 144 whatsoever lah. And not to forget section 5, evidence standard must be relevant lah, okay, especially when you want to give the exception, okay, evidence standard must be relevant, section 5, okay, 136 and 165, what we have learned last semester. And then the question asks how to evidence means that you must explain all these exceptions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So you must explain one by one. Proviso A, vitiating factor. Anything we can make the contract void avoidables. Okay, anything lah. Mistake, misrepresentation. There's no subject matter. The contract itself is invalid, illegal. Okay, the parties are not competent. Whatever it is, you can argue. Okay. Collateral warranty proviso B. Okay, you must explain. Okay, what is a proviso B? Ask. Okay, so any guarantee, any assurance you give. Okay, you can argue. But you must explain about the requirement. Under section 90, kalau you tengok section 90B tu, is mentioned that it depend on the formality of contract. The more formal the contract, the less likely the court will allow you to use proviso B. The less formal of the contract, more likely the court will allow you to use proviso B. Okay, more formal, less likely. Less formal, more likely. Don't get confused. Okay, and you must give at least one case lah to support each of these proviso. Satu-satu case. You can ask question kalau interrupt me, it's okay. Okay, you just unmute je tanya apa yang tak faham. So macam case ni ada banyak case yang collateral warranty ni saya nak pasal Tan Swee Ho, Ali Hussein Brothers, Tanjung Motor, I give you. Okay, ni condition precedent. This is something you must fulfill before the contract can be enforced. Before precedent, condition precedent. Okay, so garnison Pazkaran. Okay, di subsequent, this is after subsequent. Okay, tu dia. Wu Ming Eng. And dia ada requirement juga macam proviso B. Okay, bergantung. Kalau there's a law required you to put everything into writing, then you cannot use oral evidence. These all exception are oral law. Oral. So kalau ada law mengatakan you cannot use oral evidence, if you want to change certain kind of law with written document, so you must follow the law lah with written document. So you cannot use any promise made to you. That's what happened in the case of Wu Ming Eng I bagi you yang kat Sabah tu. Okay. And custom, you can argue custom orally. Okay. Provided the custom must be reasonable lah, bukan custom shock sendiri. Okay. Macam case yang government Federation Melaya tu kan, apa corruption, okay, something they try to argue that it's like custom, so the court also laugh at it, right? Okay, cannot be considered as a custom. It's not reasonable. It's not legal to begin with. Okay, custom must be legal. Okay, cannot break the law. Okay. And then after that, you explain about historical background surrounding circumstances, reading to the creation of the contract. Before you sign contract, what happened? So you can argue orally. And as I said, recital of contract is not part and parcel of the contract. Parallel evidence rule only protect the terms of contract. Terms and recital is two separate things. Okay? Recital is not term. So you can bring extrinsic evidence, outside evidence to further argue the recital, against recital. Boleh bawa outside evidence. So recital tak termasuk dalam parallel because it's not terms. It's only something which is existed there. Okay. I already show you lah masa kelas dulu bulan Mac itu sebelum PKP. Okay. Semua dalam kertas SMP, Sale and Purchase Agreement ada recital contract. It's about the right and responsibility of every parties enter into the contract. Itu dia. So we finish part A. Ada apa-apa soalan nak tanya? Any question? You can ask. Just unmute je. Any question? Yes, Wan Swahili.
Kan kalau kita nak guna parallel evidence ni,
yes,
the contract tak boleh just mere draft contract kan, kena final. Correct. Kan?
Yes.
So in case dalam yang bukan tak formal atau yang informal, memang tak boleh guna langsung kan parallel evidence ni.
Sebab informality tu ada degree tu juga Wan Swahili. Kalau general rule kan, as I said earlier, general principle is better to have put things into formality lah. Tapi dalam proviso B tu kata degree of formality the less formal, maknanya taklah terlalu informal sangat. Maknanya ada jugalah formality dia tu untuk dia bergantung pada degree formality jugalah Swahili. Okay. So boleh pakai juga parallel evidence rule. Tapi kalau dah teruk sangat Swahili, memang back to the general principle lah. Parallel evidence rule maknanya you tak boleh pakai langsung exception. Yang ni macam section 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98 sampai 99 tu. 98, 94, 98. It's about the rule of ambiguity kalau remember lah. Kalau too ambiguous, banyak sangat loophole, banyak sangat lakuna. So, memang tak boleh cure lah. Okay. You cannot use parallel evidence, you cannot use even exception. Boleh faham saya?
Okay. So, kalau macam just fulfill requirement yang basic tu, offer, acceptance, consideration tu.
Itu boleh.
Dia okey lah.
Itu maknanya okey. Kalau sikit-sikit tu boleh pakai sekali.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Doctor.
You're most welcome. Any more question? La. Bestnya. Okay, online So far kita ada peserta 29 orang. Oh, bagus. 28. Okay. Semua dah panggil nama kan? Ada lagi. Fadil ada Fadil?
Ada, Doktor, ada.
Sihat Fadil?
Sihat, Alhamdulillah.
Kat mana ni Fadil?
So, ada dekat Nilai.
Nilai juga tak balik? Kampung?
Tak balik.
Oh, bagus semangatnya. Okay, very clear voice Fadil. Fakrul Razi ada? Fakrul Razi. Fakrul ada? Fakrul Razi ada? Senyap.
Doktor.
Yes, Husna.
Okay. Doktor, saya nak tanya pasal collateral warranty tu, perlu ke satu parti tu dia bergantung kepada warranty yang diberikan oleh another party, so barulah boleh pakai proviso B ni?
Betul. Itu syarat dia apa, sebab dia warranty is a guarantee, is a assurance given. So the other party must act on what being given lah. For them later on, if they want to argue about this assurance, warranty and guarantee.
Dia macam estoppel lah Doktor? Dia macam estoppel ke?
Estoppel is different thing. Estoppel means estoppel is totally different thing. It's another type of evidence we're going to learn later on. This is another type of evidence. It's a parallel evidence rule. It's about extrinsic evidence. Kalau estoppel tu dia lebih kepada equity. Dia lebih kepada macam there's a bona fide punya application. This one there's no bona fide application. It's just even people cheat you, okay? You can even use oral assurance. Even you are not aware of it. So it's separate from oral estoppel, Husna.
Okay.
It's evidence of its own.
Kalau misalnya yang satu parti tu dia enter into contract with another party tapi dia bukan act upon presentation by another party, maksudnya dia tak act upon warranty by another party, so tak pakailah proviso B.
Apa dia Husna?
Maksudnya kalau satu parti tu dia tidak acted upon the warranty given by another party.
Oh, dia tak act. Okay.
Dia tak so tak terpakailah proviso exception.
Tak adalah. No issue.
Alright.
Kalau tak pakai ini ada isu aje, Husna.
Okay. Thank you.
Fakrul Razi okey tadi, Fakrul Razi?
Okey, Doktor.
Kat mana ni Fakrul?
Tepi jalan.
Tepi jalan? Tepi jalan di mana?
Saya nak cakap kena berhenti tepi jalan.
Saya cakap, dekat mana saya ni? Genting Sepah ke?
Ada line lah, Doktor.
Ada line? Tepi jalan pun ada line ya? Okey, tak nak ganggu konsentrasi. Tak apa. Amboi, tepi jalan. Okey. Hebat. Okay, I think we can proceed to B ya.
Sir, Wafi ada soalan dekat conversation. Dekat conversation.
Lah. Sir, kalau nak proof assurance tu kena ada recording juga ke? Kalau oral apa ni? Oh, maybe witness. Both also can. As long as there is some kind of evidence. Okay. Dah jawab soalan dah. Kena fokus dua tempat. Okay. Show participant. Show conversation. Okay. Kita move to B. W. Okay. A tenant enter into a written agreement with Y, a landlord, for a lease of premise for duration of 12 years. Before the written agreement was signed, Y gave an oral assurance allowing B to stay on the premise even on longer beyond 12 years period lah, which been agreed earlier. After 12 years, Y changed his mind and wanted to eject W from the premise. Eject. However, W contended that oral assurance was given to allow him to stay on the premise on extended duration period. Analyze whether W may adduce such extrinsic evidence. Already keyword dah bagi dah pun. Okay, to show the existence of such said oral assurance. Illustrate your answer with evidence facts and decided cases. So what do you think? Kita nak pakai proviso mana ni? Anybody want to try? Unmute je. Boleh pakai tak extrinsic evidence? Yes or no?
92B.
Yes, Wafi, 92?
B.
Kenapa B, Wafi? Kenapa you pilih B?
Sebab ada assurance daripada pihak landlord.
Okay, smart. Because you assurance tu. Assurance, Wafi is a synonym with guarantee.
Yes, betul.
Okay, correct. It's synonym. So, correct lah. Proviso B. Yes, can use extrinsic evidence. So, you must support requirement under section 92B lah in your answer. Okay. So, B apa? Collateral warranty. Okay. Okay. Correct lah. Any question? So we finish proviso. Okay, we finish part B. Very simple, right? But if you refer to proviso B kan, proviso B. So, part B, beside proviso B, you can use other proviso also tau in your answer here lah. Okay, in real situation, you pakai satu je. But here, just to show off to your lecturer that you understand, it is a possibility for you to use other proviso tu. Kalau nak pakai proviso A boleh tak? Vitiating factor. Possible juga, vitiating factor. You might argue this as a vitiating factor. Boleh juga. Tapi it's a little bit far away compared to B. Okay? Boleh. This possibility is there. Kalau B is the answer, kalau condition precedent also before. Sebab tak ada. Ini before the written contract was signed. Okay? There's a possibility also. Okay? Kalau condition subsequent, this is after. Tak ada lah. Sebab the word after tak ada kat sini. Kalau custom, very far away lah. Jangan, that one is too imagination. Jangan guna, okay? Historical background also possible. Recital tak ada kena-mengena. Okay? And some smart student, dia tak nak pakai apa-apa proviso. They said, it's come back to general principle. Extrinsic evidence cannot be used because it does not fulfill what Wafi said just now. Proviso B. Okay? Itu student punya argument lah. Okay? Asalkan dia argue correctly, betul, okay. So, you can use proviso B, Wafi said, okay, A also possible, C also possible, okay, historical background also possible, you want to back to general principle also possible, okay. Okay. Sebab you tak ada time nak jawab semua, so kebanyakan you dah jawab ke part A, so you just mention all the cases have been mentioned in the part A lah, tak payah repeat redundancy, okay.
Kalau nak
Yes, Wafi.
Banyak-banyak tu, nak mention macam saya cakap ada ground lain tu.
Apa dia Wafi tak dengar?
Kalau nak mention ground lain.
Kau nak mention apa?
Ground lain.
Ground what?
Macam nak mention yang vitiating factor semua tu kan. Itu kena letak dia sebagai alternative argument.
Alternative argument, yes. Yes, it's just a conclusion of Wafi. Okay, before I conclude, there's also a possibility to use this, because the problem with the question is not that very detailed lah. So since it's not detailed, purposely I do is not detailed, okay, to encourage you to think more lah. Okay, so there's a possibility lah. Okay, when come to this lah. But in court jangan pakai semua. Okay, pening kepala. Okay. Okay, pakai salah satu je. Okay, any question lah? Semua okay? Boleh dengar? Ada apa-apa soalan? Imran okay, Imran? Imran, where are you? Imran okay?
Doktor.
Yes. Siapa tu?
Saya Husna.
Yes, Husna.
Doktor, saya kurang faham. Boleh tak doktor explain tentang kes yang Cheng Keng Hong lawan Government Federation of Malaya dalam custom tu?
Dalam custom? Dalam kes tu, Government State Federation Malaya tu, because this contractor was given a project by the government, okay, to upgrade the school. Because there was so many leaking happen in that public school lah. Okay, the problem in that case, the contractor didn't do a good job lah. So they're still leaking. So the government are very angry, so they bring an action lah. Okay, but before they bring an action, they try to persuade the contractor give a second chance lah to do a good, what call it, a reparation of the school. But the contractor requests some extra money to be given. Okay, and so they try to argue this as a, what call this, later on in court, the contractor try to argue that this is something which is a custom lah. It's something which is normal for them to do, to ask for some extra money. Okay, for them to do a, what call it, as a efficient good job. Okay, so the court reject that argument lah. You cannot use that as a they try to put it under custom. Okay, but the court rejected it lah. Okay, because to be a custom, it must be legal. It must not break any law. It must be recognized. It must be something which is reasonable. Itu dia maksud dia, Husna. So it does not fulfill the requirement of custom. So they fail lah to argue this, to give extra money as a custom for them to do a good job. Basically, I summarize. Okay, Husna?
Oh, okay, faham.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, Imran ada? Imran okay?
Okay. Ada
okay,
je.
Imran. Kat mana Imran ni? Kampung?
Ada kat Nilai, ada dengan Fadil ni.
Ha? Oh, satu rumah ke? Sewa?
Ya.
Oh, tak balik kampung Imran?
Tak balik.
Pula? Okay. Okay, so any more question? Ada apa-apa soalan lagi? I think that's all lah for today punya tutorial. Okay lah. No question. So I think that's all. Thank you very much untuk today's participation. So kita jumpa minggu depan lah untuk kelas and tutorial as usual. Thank you everybody. Everybody.
Thank you.
Can have your lunch. Okay. Simple je. Half an hour tutorial online.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Fakir Razi, berhati-hati jalan raya.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Ya, sir. Saya tepi jalan ni, sir.
Jaga-jaga. Dangerous. Okay. Okay, thank you.